Welcome, this is Josh Rees with Mile High Church in Lakewood, Colorado. Thank you for tuning in to our podcast today. For more information about our church, please visit our website, milehighchurch.org.
I am starting a two-part series today that is based on a wonderful holiday movie, and the series is called It's a Wonderful Life, starring you. And today we're going to talk about commitment to the wonderful. Commitment to the wonderful. I love It's a Wonderful Life. I've always loved it. It's been a staple holiday movie for me to watch. Years ago, I've been back here for 9.5 years, and I don't think I've ever done a sermon series based on the movie. I don't know why. What's wrong with me? Probably it's because when I was in Arizona, I did talk about it frequently at that church on Sunday mornings around the holiday season. So much so that one of my congregants gave me a DVD of the movie, and she put my face on the cover along with Jimmy Stewart. I was like, that's cool, and maybe I'm talking about this way too much, right? So I had to cool it a little bit. But now I'm kind of back into this movie, very excited about it, and I want to just give you a little brief history and synopsis of the movie. It came out in 1946, and interestingly enough, it was a big flop when it came out. It was in movie theaters and people just didn't resonate with it. 30 years later, the network started putting it on around Christmas time, and it got hold, and it became this big sensation in the 1970s, and so much so that since then it's become a staple movie during the holiday season. And nobody was as surprised about it as the producer and director Frank Capra. And he said to the Wall Street Journal in 1984, "It's the damnedest thing I've ever seen." He says, "The film has a life of its own now, and I can look at it like I had nothing to do with it. I'm like a parent whose kid grows up to be president." "I'm proud, but it's the kid who did the work," he says. "I didn't even think of it as a Christmas story when I first ran across it. I just liked the idea." And so it was, of course, a wonderful opportunity. It's considered to be one of the greatest films of all time and among the best Christmas films. And when it came out again, it's interesting, it won 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, and has been recognized by the American Film Institute as one of the 100 best films ever made. Now, I'm sure most of you have seen it before. I would acknowledge that too. Oh, yeah, thank you. I'm sure many of you have seen it before, or you know a little bit about it, and I just want to do a little brief synopsis. Wikipedia has the briefest synopsis I've ever seen. They said, the film stars James Stewart as George Bailey, a man who's given up his personal dreams in order to help others in his community, and whose thoughts of suicide on Christmas Eve bring about the intervention of his guardian angel, Clarence Oddbody, played by Henry Travers. And so here's the place I want to start with is George Bailey did give up his personal dreams for family obligations. He had lots of dreams, all laid out, was really clear what he wanted to do, told everybody about it, very clear, but things kept coming up, and he kept having to put his dreams aside in order to deal with what was right in front of him. And he became suicidal on Christmas Eve because he was running the building and loan that his father had started and working with his Uncle Billy. And Uncle Billy accidentally misplaced $8,000 when he was going to the bank. And they couldn't find it, and they were panicked because for $8,000 in the 1940s was a lot of money, right? And so to lose that much money would mean the ruin of their building and loan, and that someone was going to have to go to jail and face the consequences. Interestingly enough, George Bailey took full responsibility for the loss of this $8,000. He never threw his Uncle Billy under the bus. He went around and he told people he'd lost $8,000. And he was desperate to figure out how to account for this money, how to get it back. And he had a life insurance policy that he thought that he could get a loan on, and he couldn't. But he realized as he looked at this life insurance policy that he was worth more dead than alive. And that inspired him to go get on a bridge that night and choose to jump off the bridge and take his own life to solve this problem. And his guardian angel shows up. Clarence Oddbody throws himself in the water, and George, being the magnanimous person he is, saves his guardian angel. They start having a talk, and the guardian angel's trying to talk him out of, hey, it's just money. What's your problem? Get over it. And George is very depressed about his life situation. And at one point, George says, it's probably better if I'd never been born. And Clarence says, good idea. And so he snaps his fingers, and he makes it so that George has never been born. And they're in a new reality. And as they leave this place where they'd been drying off their clothes from falling in the river and walk back out into the city is different. It's completely different. The brother that George saved when he was a little boy, he's not alive because George wasn't there to save him. The pharmacist that was about to make a mistake that would have killed a little boy has been imprisoned because George wasn't there to stop him from making that mistake. His mother doesn't know who he is because George was never born. His wife never married and doesn't know who he is, and because he's never been born. His kids have never been born. His friends don't know who he is. He's not existent. And the wealthy curmudgeon that he's been at odds with has taken over the town and then kind of turned it into a little mini Las Vegas, a la 1943, And it's a completely different town. It's a completely different reality. I like that when Clarence says, okay, you've never been born, even the weather changes. The weather pattern shifts, and it stops snowing. And it makes me think how impactful each one of us is. Every breath we take, everything we do, every choice we make. Each one of us probably have moments that we know about and ones we don't even know about. Where one day we chose to be friendly or kind or smile at someone, and it made such a difference in their life that they made a different choice about themselves or about their own life. And so without each one of us, life would be very different. And George begins to say to Clarence, I don't like this new reality. I want my life back. And he begins to beg for his life back, problems and all. And that's the moment I want to focus on today. That he realized that he had a wonderful life. And Clarence Oddbody even says, you had a wonderful life, George. You didn't even realize it. And George says, yes, I want my life back. I want my life back. And he finds himself back on the bridge crying, I want my life back. I want my life back. And boom, it starts snowing again and he's back in his own reality. And he rushes home, and one of my favorite scenes, he runs into his house, and standing there is the sheriff with a warrant for his arrest, and the bank examiner, and the bank examiner says, George, we have a problem with the books, and George says, I know, we're missing $8,000, and I'm probably going to jail, isn't it wonderful? And he's happy to see his kids, and meanwhile, while he's been off gallivanting with his guardian angel, his wife has gone to all their friends who love him and whom he's personally benefited, and they've all collected more than enough money to cover the $8,000. And so there's this big celebration. The sheriff tears up the warrant for his arrest. His brother comes charging in, and he toasts George. And he says, to George Bailey, the richest man in town. And Clarence Oddbody has left a book there, Tom Sawyer, and he's inscribed it very carefully, and he says, remember, no man is a failure who has friends. Here are two key things that we get to look at, because I'm asking us today, would you say your life is wonderful or not? When we look at it through the eyes of George Bailey, I love that he got a chance to re-embrace his life just as it is. You could say warts and all. The goods, the bads, the ups, the downs, the yays, the nays, the awesome, the not so awesome, and say, I had a wonderful life. And here's the thing. Whatever you're facing right now, whatever challenges, whether it feels like it's going to be a wonderful holiday season or not, they're telling us all over the place, right? It's the most wonderful time of the year. And some of us are going, no.
Too much commercialism, too much, blah, 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 it's not so wonderful, I don't want it.
When you and I get to the end of our life, if there is a guardian angel waiting for us, I predict that if we don't embrace the wonder of living, that's the only thing we'll get feedback about. You missed it. You worried about money. You worried about status. You worried about this. You worried about that. You were negative all the time about this. You were jealous all the time about this. You never healed that unhealed past. You didn't do the work. You had a wonderful life and you didn't even know it. I don't want to end my life that way. And every time I watch this movie, it reminds me to reevaluate my perception of my wonderful life. And this year, I'm taking y'all with me. I'm inviting us all to be willing to reevaluate. I call it the scale of wonders, scales of wonder. I think what happens is that if this were a scale in front of us and the left hand was not so wonderful and that scale, well, weighed us down, or really wonderful, we live like that. And most of us, the mistake we're making is we're allowing world of effects to determine our scale of wonder. Am I happy? Am I sad? Am I healthy? Am I not? Are things going my way? Are my dreams coming true? Am I getting what I want? Am I seeing things going well in the world? Is it peaceful? Is it not? Is my political party in power or not? Is there war? Is there peace? Is there blah, blah, blah? We're letting these things in the world of form. And it's not that those things don't have their impact. They certainly do. But the mistake that we make individually and collectively is we let those things determine the scale of wonderment. And so it's materialistic. Sometimes we yell and scream at people, at politicians and world leaders and people who are too materialistic. But I'm here to say, if we're letting our scale of wonder being led by just what we see and what we're experiencing, we're being too materialistic. Because what happens is that life is wonderful. The scales are weighted on your side and my side. Because we live, move, and have our being in the divine presence of life. And though we might move forward and we may feel like George Bailey at times, I have my dreams, I have my expectations, I have my hopes of how my life would be, and it's not like that. There comes a moment for the triumphant when they say, yeah, you know what? I'm just like everyone else. Everyone's got their problems. Everyone has their ups and downs. Everyone has their suffering. Everyone has their dark nights of the soul. And I personally have come to see in my own life, sometimes my dark nights are like a wake-up call. Are you willing to wake up to how wonderful your life is or not? Okay, well, let's just move through some challenge and see if you can re-embrace it and watch the scales of my life shift. And eventually I can feel the wonder of the God in me, as me, through me, calling to me, leading me forward into my wonder, and that I can have my wonder and my challenges. It's taken many years to figure this out, but I can see how it is so true that even though this compartment of my life is challenged, there are multiple compartments of living that are filled with light and love and joy. This time of year, when it's the darkest time of the year from a light standpoint, we are putting up lights in our homes and on our buildings to remind us of the light. There is more light than darkness every moment on this planet, in every person on this planet, in you, in me, in our life. There is more wonder to behold, but we get captured and trapped sometimes, like George did, by the negative conditions of living, and we're tempted to toss it all away. Like Clarence Oddbody said, over money? Really? And the truth is, we get to dig deep into our soul and find our own wonder. Years ago, I had a George Bailey moment myself. I was in my church in Arizona in the heart of Scottsdale, and we had rented a building that used to be a Whole Foods. And we had built it out and made it into an amazing, beautiful space. We loved it. We had a preschool there. We had plenty of room for kids and adults and offices. It was just an amazing space. And in 2008, I'm sure many of you remember, the housing market just crashed, right? And giving just crashed in our church. And we found ourselves suddenly very challenged to pay our rent, to pay our bills, to pay our employees. And the church had taken out an insurance policy called a key man insurance policy on me. A pretty healthy one, millions of dollars on me, so that if anything ever happened to me, they would have money to pay the bills and survive without me there. And I had my George Bailey moment as I watched the challenge of the money and said to myself, I would be better, I'm worth more dead than alive right now. And I think I even said that to someone who made me watch this movie. And that actually cemented in my deep love of it. And I came out of watching that movie realizing that I was no longer willing to let the world of form dictate my relationship with the wonder of life. That what I really needed was unconditional wonder. And that's what I'm inviting us into. Unconditional wonder. The true nature of our being. That, yeah, things might not go our way or happen the way we want, but there is an unconditioned energy of wonder and light that's at the core of us, that is at the truth of us, is at the essence of us, that is constantly calling to us. And I believe that our relationship with that and our willingness to choose that over and over and over again, anytime in life and during the holiday season, expands that energy in our lives. After watching that movie, I went back into my church with a renewed sense of, I don't know how, I don't even know what to do, but I know we've got this. I know together we can do this as a community. We can figure this out. And what happened is that over that year, we miraculously got out of our lease and miraculously bought our own building, even though no bank would loan us money. I'll tell you more about that next week. You'll have to come back next week to hear that story. But it was a miraculous time. We called it literally the little Christmas miracle because it was literally Christmas Eve the following year we had our first service in our new building. And it was a challenge, but it put all of our teachings to the test, and it put this notion to the test like nothing else, because we all had to say, this isn't fun, this is hard, we don't like this condition, but we're going to keep trusting in the wonder of life, in the deep energy of our being, and know that even though my dream isn't coming forth the way I think it should, even though I may have to give up this beautiful building that we work so hard to create, what's the possibility that something even better is afoot? Something even more amazing is available to us. And that's what happened. And so the power of this is magnificent. Ernest Holmes says to us in his wonderful book he's talking about age in this book he wrote in about alchemy of prayer. He says, whatever your years, there is in every being's heart the love of wonder, the undaunted challenge of events, the unfailing childlike appetite for what's next, and the joy and the game of life. You are as young as your faith, as old as your fear, as young as your hope, as old as your despair. In the central place of every heart, there is a recording chamber. So long as it receives messages of beauty, cheer, and courage, so long you are young. And I would say not only are we young, but we're in connection with our wonder. What's the possibility that life is amazingly wonder-filled for each one of us, no matter what? I think it's high. And I see those pictures now that are coming through the new telescope of our universe, the galaxies upon galaxies. And I sense, from a spiritual perspective, honestly, I feel like there's so many places that we could be in the universe. We could be in another dimension. We could be on another planet maybe. I don't know. But I just feel the expansive nature of that. And I feel how wonderful it is to be here on planet Earth, alive. What if, in terms of living on this planet, this is the e-ticket ride? Remember e-tickets at Disneyland? E-tickets were the tickets, the best ones. They got you on to Space Mountain and Star Tours and helped you avoid it's a small world after all if you didn't want to go there, right? The e-ticket was the best ride. What's the possibility that on the other side of life, there are souls clamoring to be here and to live in this human form on this beautiful planet? And meanwhile, many of us are down here going, it's not so fun. I wish it were different. I don't like this and I don't like that. And look at them and look at that. Unconditional wonder. Taking it in. Being willing to walk through the conditions and situations of life, and knowing that we're wealthy because we have friends and we have a community. We're wealthy because we have opportunity. We're rich beyond measure. We're living a wonder-filled life. And if we allow ourselves during this holiday season or any other time of the year, just to get present to it, just to see it more clearly and consciously, it could change everything for us. For me, the list of wonderment has to do with things like my spiritual practice. That when things get tougher for me, I challenge myself not to pray less, but to pray more, not to meditate less, but to meditate more. Because what I find is that when I'm in touch with that inner space of the Most High, that wonder, that life that inhabits my being, that I'm so creative with solving challenges and problems. I figure things out for myself and for other people. That there's this energy that says, we can do this, we got this. We can move through this. How interesting it's going to be to solve this issue together. Let's go for it. There's a wonder that has its way through me there. Marcus Aurelius says, when you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. This is a gratitude list on steroids. This season, if you're struggling to find wonder in the holiday season, every morning I invite you to wake up and take a few moments as Marcus is sailing and understand what a precious privilege it is to breathe, to love, to be alive. You and I know there are lots of people who don't have that privilege right now. They're not on this e-ticket ride. They've gone off to whatever is next. But we're here now. We are alive now. And we embrace the wonder. We allow ourselves to have our spiritual practice. We allow ourselves to do and go to the places and things that inspire wonder in us. Some people it's sunrises or sunsets or both. Or I used to go outside when we lived out in the foothills. We had a trampoline and I like to jump on it, but mostly I like to lay on it at night and just stare at the night sky. Wow. Be filled with wonder and awe. Part of the holidays, spending time with people. Being with the people that I love. Filling my heart with joy that I get to spend time with precious beings. Children, watching the delight of children this time of the year. The decorations. The opportunities. Hallmark movie. Who put that in there? I did. Hallmark movies give me joy. The romantic in me, the Christmas lover in me. If I'm not here ever on a Sunday, you know where I am right now. Little memes and things that feel good, things that make me feel happy. Sometimes just moments of sitting and watching life happen. The wonderment of people watching. Wonder is everywhere. Nature. Choose wonder. Here's what I notice about it. When we choose it, it chooses us back. And the more we choose it, the more we get to have it. I found a video on Facebook. I have watched it over and over and over, not only because the little boy in it is just so adorable, but he is so wise. And they're going to play it for you right now, and I think you're going to feel the same as me. You play it again, play it again, play it again. I love that, yes. So these last few weeks after I found that, whenever I start to feel the wonder slipping away, I just see his cute little face and I hear him say, "Let me tell you a secret. Life is good." That's what we're here to say today. Life is good. Life is filled with wonder. Have it. Yes, have it. Have the wonder. Have the wonder. Allow your wonder scale to just go sky high. Today, this week, during this holiday season, let us do that. And as we go into prayer, I invite us to become still and just to take a moment to begin to prepare for our prayerful time. There's a woman in our community who made her transition to the next plane. She passed away on November 7th. Her name is Michael Murphy. She was a staff member here at Mile High Church, the executive producer for 17 years of our television show, which was called New Design for Living. I knew her well and was so honored to work with her. And I would have to say that in my humble perception, having that television show where Dr. Fred and Dr. Roger came into people's homes on every Sunday morning was one of the secret sauces of the growth of our beautiful community. And Michael made that happen. We're so grateful to her for her contribution to our community and thankful for the life that she led. We send our love and gratitude out to her beloved husband, Mal Bruce, my good friend, whom I adore also, and her family, her kids and grandkids. And we thank you, Michael Murphy, for the love and the contribution that you have been here to Mile High Church. And so we step into our prayerfulness with great gratitude. I invite our practitioner prayer partners to stand with me as we pray. And we step into that awareness of wonder right now. The wonderful light and life that is alive in us. We breathe it. We feel it. We just push aside any of those ideas or perceptions that we've had up until now that have possibly kept us from the experience of wonder, that it's possible to be walking through even great challenge and still be inspired by the wonder of living. Just as it's possible to be having wonderful, joyful conditions in life and be inspired by the wonder of living, it's a choice that we make. And so here and now, we feel that call having its way through us now of life, reminding us, you have led a wonderful life. That voice inside, you have led a wonderful life. And the invitation that exists in our hearts to continue living that pathway and embracing our wonder-filled living even more profoundly. It's been issued today, here, now. And we accept that invitation. We feel that acceptance with our heart and our mind, with our body, our breath. We feel that willingness to be the wonder, to see the wonder, to live the wonder, and to be a place on this planet where wonder-filled living is always available. Because everywhere we go, Everywhere we look, there are invitations to feel that, to sense that, to see it. This holiday, every day. And so I affirm and accept that this is indeed who we are, what we do, how we live our life out in the days ahead. And it is with great love and joy that as I affirm this truth, I know with great gratitude that it is done. It is done. And so in faith and trust, I release this prayer to the action of that law that simply makes it so. I let it be. I let it go. And so it is. Amen.
Thanks for listening to the Mile High Church podcast. This podcast is made possible by the generous contributions from listeners like you. To make a donation, please visit milehighchurch.org.